Before starting the video, click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Hello and welcome to House of Commerce. Hope you all are doing well. Today our lecture is about job order costing. In this lecture, we will learn about that why the job order costing is used, then how to calculate the cost of a job, and we shall discuss about the entries as well. So stay tuned and listen to the lecture till end so that you may come to know what is job order costing. So let us take a look. So job order costing is applied in the manufacturing sector. Say if we take example of two things, special order printing or building construction and all that, and also used in the service industry like hospitals and law firms and all. Then as we have discussed that the job is consisted upon three things while discussing about the basic cost accounting. So whosoever has not seen that video, I request you guys to go and watch that video so that you may know about the main idea. So let us revise that thing again, that a job is consisted upon three things: direct material, direct labor, and manufacturing overheads, or you can say that factory overheads. So direct material means all the material which is directly traceable into the item or into the product, and direct labor means all the labor which was directly involved from start till the packing, who is involved directly, that is called direct labor. And manufacturing overhead means all the expenses other than direct material and direct labor. So a product, a job is consisted among three things, and those three things are these. Then the direct material and direct labor is apportioned in different jobs, not in only one job. So we have job number 1, 2 and 3. So direct material and direct labor is allocated between all these jobs. Then the manufacturing overhead is applied upon different jobs. So you have got confused a little bit that how the manufacturing overheads are applied after the direct material and direct labor, because indirect material and indirect labor has been added to the manufacturing overheads account, and then after that, while collecting all overheads, we will distribute the manufacturing overheads to the jobs, and we'll allocate those manufacturing overheads to the jobs. So how they will be allocated, we shall discuss it in this video later on. So let's discuss about that. Now let us take a summary of whatever we have discussed before, that whatever material is available to the company for the usage into the job, the direct material shall directly go to the job and shall directly be attributed or allocated to the job, and the indirect material shall be in manufacturing overheads account. Like material account, the labor account shall be apportioned in the same way, that direct portion shall be into the job directly, and the indirect labor shall be into the manufacturing overheads account. Then these all are being collected into the manufacturing overheads account, and then it shall be distributed to the job. Now let's take a look. Now by collecting all these stuff like indirect labor, indirect material and other actual overheads charges, these all shall be collected into the manufacturing overheads account. Now this is ready to be attributed or allocated to the job sheet. So now our manufacturing overheads account is ready to be divided into the jobs. Now let me make it more clear by making the T accounts of all those three items: raw material, direct labor and factory overhead or manufacturing overheads. So we have a raw material T account here. We have raw material at the start of period, and we have purchased something in this period. Now the direct material shall directly be debited to the work in process or job cost sheet, and the indirect item shall be debited to the manufacturing overheads account. In the same way, the labor shall be allocated to the job and manufacturing, like direct items of the labor shall be in the job directly, and the indirect labor shall be debited to the manufacturing overheads account. Now, what will happen next? That manufacturing overhead account has some indirect material, indirect labor, and few of the other indirect expenses, or should I say that overhead charges. Now this account is completed, and this account shall be credited to the work in process account, or should I say the job cost sheet. Now the job cost sheet has all these three items: direct material, direct labor, and overhead. Now it is said to be completed. Now the job is said to be completed. Now what will happen next when the job is completed? When work in process has all these three items, the job is said to be completed, and the job shall be transferred to the finished goods, because the work which was in process is now said to be completed, and it shall be gone directly to the cost of the finished goods. Then this finished goods, when they will be sold, so they will go to the account of cost of goods sold. Now let us move to the entries, that how will we make the entries of this topic. So first of all, we have raw material purchases. So how to record the raw material purchases? Same as we record in the financial accounting, that raw material account debit and accounts payable credit. As raw material is inventory, so inventory shall be debited, as we all know that it is an asset, and accounts payable, being a liability, shall be credited. Now when the material which was purchased in the first entry, when it will be used, the direct portion shall be into the work in process, and the indirect portion shall be into the manufacturing overheads. And now as the raw material is being used, the asset, the inventory is being used, so it shall be credited as it is being reduced. So that is why work in process debit, manufacturing overheads debit, and raw materials credit. Now how to apply the labor to the job and how to pass the entry of the same. Labor has two portions, like material, direct and indirect. So while transferring the direct material to the job, work in process shall be debited, and wages and salaries payable shall be credited. When the indirect portion shall be transferred to the manufacturing overheads, then it shall be debited. So work in process is an inventory. Then inventory is being increased by applying the labor, so it shall be debited. And factory overhead, by applying the labor, it is also being increased. So indirect labor is being transferred to the manufacturing, so it will be increased and it shall be debited. And wages and salaries payable is a liability, so that is why it is being credited. So before applying the manufacturing overheads to the job, we must have to see the entry while incurring the manufacturing overheads. So whenever you incur any of the expenses other than direct material and direct labor, what will you pass the entry? Say we have other expenses like accounts payable, you have purchased or you have paid something, you have to pay something on account. Then you have property taxes payable, which belongs to the factory. Then you have prepaid insurance belonging to the factory. You have accumulated depreciation, which belongs to the machines of the factory. So all these expenses belong to the factory. So we know this thing by learning the basic costing. We know this thing that all the expenses other than the direct material and direct labor shall be debited to the manufacturing overheads. So here we will pass the entry manufacturing overheads debit, and all the expenses are being closed, so that is why they will be credited and shall be transferred to the manufacturing overheads. Now while applying the overheads to the job, we have discussed this, that work in process is an inventory, and by applying the manufacturing overheads to it, it shall be increased. So inventory, when it is increased, it shall be debited, and manufacturing overheads, when it were increasing, it was on the debit side. Now as these are being reduced by applying it, so it shall be out of the manufacturing account, so manufacturing account shall be credited, and by applying it on the work in process shall increase and shall be debited. Now by completing the job by applying direct material, direct labor and factory overhead or manufacturing overhead, the job is said to be completed. Now it has to be transferred to the finished goods. So finished goods is also an inventory. So when you will transfer something from an inventory to an inventory, so work in process being an inventory is being transferred to the finished goods. So work in process shall be reduced and credited, and finished goods by transferring the work in process amount shall be increased and shall be debited. Now while selling the goods, you all know while passing the entries into the financial accounting, you just pass only one entry, and that is account receivable debit and sales credit. Account receivable is an asset, so it is debited, and sales being a revenue, it is being increased, so it shall be credited. Then there you are just passing the entries of trading accounts, of trading businesses. Here you are passing the entries of manufacturing accounts. So the person whosoever manufacture the goods, he passes two entries. One is of sale and the other one is the cost of those goods which are being sold. So we will pass the entry account receivable debit and sales credit, and we shall pass the entry of cost of the same goods. So now the finished goods are being sold, so they should be out of finished goods account, and the finished goods account is an inventory. So while being something out of that, it shall credit that finished good account, and the cost of goods sold being an expense account, it is being debited. So the cost of goods sold debit and finished goods credit. Now that's all for today's lecture. If you have any question regarding today's lecture, you can put your question into the comment section, and that shall be answered into the next videos. Till then, good luck.